All the thing is I want to do is make you listen to this thing, because if you will be listening to it, you will be shaming on yourself the insecure you have ever been, because whatever bullshit you are, whatever bullshit you have ever been is not at all be the case for me, because I could be stabbing on everybody else, not at all letting everybody else to get themselves being kind of a surviving on any kind of a mode, because even if you were a girl, or even if you're really bitch, even if you're some kind of a diva that is not at all upon a piece, they could be getting themselves being kind of a like dwindle upon my upheaval, because I'm not at all getting themselves being at my anybody else on my like feet, because I could be getting everybody else to like stab on you back and forth in like any kind of a style, because I'm not at all honing on myself, I could be honing on everybody else, even in the little while, because I could be giving everybody else no kind of a brain, at the same time I could be healing on everybody else, not at all responding on everybody else to take themselves being kind of a do whatever they have to be getting undone, and myself swagger is not at all getting on everybody else, so do the digger, because my digger is called for like digging on everybody else, my prune on everybody else with a machete is not at all any kind of a knife, I could be not at all providing any like fodder for everybody else, I could be not at all giving anything to anybody in particular, to anybody that I could be talking about for the timing now, they could be getting themselves being kind of a kill every time there's a motherfucking asshole, they got that kind of a like can't being busted by anybody else or everybody else in the crowd, and still they to cover up my slang, because they could be trying to compare me with everybody of my own race, because I could be not at all letting this kind of a fool motherfuckers do whatever they could be asking for themselves to get in the life, I could be making them sit in the father's dick and make them kick on their butt with a low kind of a like survival low kind of a style, because I could be like giving them low kicks on their butt and having them getting out the same kind of a like style, they will never be able to do whatever they thought is possible for themselves to survive, and everybody else they could be changing the position, they could be changing the kind of base, they could be changing the entire kind of like systematics of where they could be having to be getting themselves being kind of a stepped on, or maybe they could be having ever been kind of a stepping aside, or maybe they placed on whatever they have been based on at a place, or maybe whatever they kind of like niche they could be has to be like under constant sacrifice, because they could be having to be like complete under this association, because they need to be under complete association, under eradication, under the complete non-surveillance, under this kind of like monopoly dispute, and I could be like sweeping off them off their feet every time, have only giving everybody else any chance to survive and relocate themselves after they have like debased themselves from where they were supposed to be at the same time, and whatever had them kind of doing any bad upon me, I could be killing them, I could be like giving them a kick on their face and making them feel like they have to be like not at all getting any better with their kind of a taste, and how they could be looking on themselves, they could be only looking back and getting worse every time they could be getting worse than that, and everybody else those who like a part of themselves they will be like getting even worse than that, at the same time they could be getting even worse than the other one, and this is how the phase will be continuing like an alternative kind, they could be going worse to worse and worse to worse every time, and this is some kind of a like constant harmony with every asshole that's kind of a like trying to come up or maybe kind of a come up over me, because on my top, and whatever kind of a their offspring issues whatever they have to be engendering by fucking the in their kind of a by their fathers, but that's being kind of a generated by some old state style, because I'm not at all trying to get everybody else to sing that they could be doing any mishap or any kind of a misjudgment with myself, because I could be continue doing any kind of a say all this bullshit thing for me, all this kind of a thing to come alive, and I could be giving everybody else no kind of a brain to make themselves this kind of a discomfort, and so my style is not at all willing to let on everybody else to go and do themselves for themselves to get in kind of a better end in the kind of a like in ways to make themselves be kind of a like invest by themselves for style, not at all my need to make sure that I could be making any kind of a commentary, any kind of a commenting about all this kind of a bullshit issues. This is not at all even in my way, or not at all even in my need, or not at all even in my lookout for to pay a heed, because I'm not at all paying attention to all this kind of a like fluffy issues, this kind of a like miscellaneous issues, for that is kind of not at all a part of my kind of a need, because I won't be paying any attention to all this kind of bullshit. This is not at all even a problem, not at all even a factor for me to getting on self, to getting myself be kind of a getting me provoked onto it by anybody that is being kind of like trying to provoking upon me, or maybe on me to add so as to get themselves being kind of like they could be like doing some kind of a way done, or maybe they could be like achieving some kind of or maybe achieving some achievement from their life just by trying to bring me down by their all this kind of a trick, all this kind of a trickery, this kind of a mockery, whatever kind of a like stratagem or whatever that kind of a like dicey situational input. They could be like trying to like dodge me, or maybe they could be plug me with this kind of a thing, because I could be plugging on themselves in some kind of a way that they could be always having to be like scratching on their brain, and they could be staggering on themselves in their kind of a mind from the upside down, or maybe inside outside ways, or outside inside ways, both ways. They will be never be able to do any satisfaction for their own living the life, and I could be killing everybody else. Nobody else will ever be given any chance to make themselves to do whatever they ever thought would be possible by themselves at the like end of the survival. And I'm not at all trying to get myself being kind of a like do some kind of a treachery about my ways, because I'm not at all treacherous by my own ways for everybody else, not at all survive by my entire mentality for getting everybody else to make themselves meaning. I could be getting myself officious for everybody else, because not kind of a like no treachery, no meaningless, or not kind of a thing, only sense of kind of a being survival, because I'm not at all menial for my side, and I could be menial for everybody else if I was not being the case. But definitely I could be not at all mean, but I could be making everybody else do some kind of a like oppression under themselves, being kind of a like ruthless on everybody else brutally. I could be doing brutal, or maybe heinous, or maybe body, or maybe off-seeing for this kind of a like assholes that they could be coming up with kind of a heinous on themselves. They could be like off-scene, or they could be getting themselves being kind of a like oppressive. They could be getting themselves at a certain kind of way that they have to be brutal enough for on themselves. They could be stabbing on themselves just because I could be like providing myself not at all with enough pressure so as to unpressurize me or not, but definitely so as to pressure me, and I could be pressuring on them because I'm almighty on top of everybody else. I could be not at all giving everybody any kind of a say, or maybe any kind of a chance to make a say. Whatever they will be trying to say, I will be kicking on their chest and making everybody else to go fall and prostrate on the face. They never be able to do whatever was planned in their life. Will they never be able to survive, because all this asshole instable came thinking themselves being not at all able to do whatever they thought would ever been possible by their lives, and not at all being able to make sure they could be making any kind of a best. This is a time for themselves to go down. They could be doing from the better than the best to worse than the bad could be case, and has to be the case, because I could be demoting them. I'm like depromoting them. I'm like demoting them to this kind of a like situation. Who were trying to say anything, I could be kicking the butt, and I could be making the serve. They could be having to be kicking the serve because of their bones cracked, and nobody else trying to get in myself because of to say, because I'm not at all saying myself. There are people that trying to make sure they could be like trying to pass up with any kind of a like trajectory, or maybe some kind of a like crooked serpentine, or maybe some obnoxious path, because I'm not at all letting everybody else to do. They could be taking some shortcut to come up and backstab up against me. I could be backstabbing nobody else, but I could be like stabbing on everybody else front face to face with my kind of a fist, or maybe my fist even on their face, even in their chest, any part of the body, including their brains and their head, or maybe including their face, because I could be having to be not at all letting everybody else to do any kind of weaponing. I mean, I could be fisting on the weapon. I could be like letting the weapon being kind of taken out from them, and I could be like letting the weapon being kind of dig in them, dug in them in some kind of ways that their weapon will be up against themselves, so as to make sure that they will be never be able to make any kind of adjustment, so as to getting themselves not at all able to do, because all this kind of weapon and everything is not at all a weapon for them. This kind of weapon for the protection of me from themselves. That's why I will be using their weapon to protect me. I could be using my weapon to protect me at the same time. I could be cutting the throat, making them pain, giving them pain, and giving them inflicting every kind of a leg obstacle